Welcome, friends, to the Rando Commando show.
Woo!
It's been a long time, and it seems like we only ever do these things when we take road trips these
road
days.
trips are like once a yearly thing.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't even remember when the last time was that we did this.
Almost 2 years ago.
A couple of years ago, doing another road trip.
Yep.
Where were we going?
North Platte.
North Platte?
For a wedding.
For a wedding? Yeah. So, we thought, okay, we're going out again to North Platte, again for a family event. We're just like, let's do this. Let's do another Rando Commando, because those are super fun.
Woo!
So, for this one, we're gonna, we didn't really plan, this is kind of spontaneous, but we're playing some Would You Rather. So, we kind of chatted a little bit before this and had a Would You Rather Star Wars question. So, so we're gonna get into another Would You Rather and just kind of go random, because that's what we do.
And what we do is completely random.
So, so you did a would you rather?
I did the first Would You Rather.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go ahead and we'll do that real quick.
Right. So my question to Jonah for the Would You Rather was: would you rather live on the planet Hoth or the planet Tatooine? Like, extreme hot or extreme cold? Like, where does Jonah lie in all this?
And where do you fall? So for me personally, I'll give my 2 cents worth. I don't like really either one. I don't like the hot, I don't like the cold, but I get cold really easily, and so and like I hate that you can't do anything outside when it's the winter, you know? So like you get outside and doing anything, you can do it for like 5 minutes and you're done. So for me on Hoth, it's like even when the weather is nice and you're outside, it's like it's still absolutely freezing, and like you could so easily die.
Oh yeah.
So easily die on Hoth. Versus Tatooine, I mean, yes, it's hot all the time, but you could survive, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You could survive a day, maybe, you know, not a long time, but for some time. And, you know, either one is awful, but I can at least function in the summertime.
Yeah.
And the winter is just rough, just all the way around. So that's my 2 cents.
My 2 cents were also Tatooine over, I mean, like, again, both are not ideal.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to pick a Star Wars planet that's, like, ideal for both circumstances, let's just go to Naboo and call the incident.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I'm an Alderaan guy myself.
Like, I'm Naboo.
Yep.
All the way. But
Yep.
all I had to say is, I told you, I was like, here's my 2 reasons for why I would pick Tatooine over Hoth. Number 1, when you're in a cave and you're still having to wear a coat from the outside cold,
Yeah.
that's a no-no.
Yeah.
Number 2, when the sun goes down, on a planet you can survive while the sun is down as long as you don't encounter any wild animals. And then 2, like, the other planet, like, you're literally, like, they literally had to close the doors because they got, the sun went down.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, and the temperature drops from, you know, freezing cold temperatures to extremely freezing temperatures. So yeah.
So, my choice, if between the 2 of them, would be Tatooine, but...
Yeah, okay. I guess we can kind of stick with the Star Wars vein. That's kind of fun.
Okay.
Would you rather... shoot, there's all kinds of things you could do. Would you rather... Man, we did this randomly off the cuff, so it's like I don't have anything prepared for this. What's another would you rather that would be?
Would you rather pilot the Slave One or pilot the Millennium Falcon?
Okay, that's a fairly good one. For me, I would say I would rather fly the Slave One. My reasoning being, I like the look of the Millennium Falcon, but honestly, the thing that kills me about the Millennium Falcon is having the cockpit on the side of the vessel and like having 95, 98 really percent of your ship on the other half where you can't even see it. You know, like I can just imagine trying to fly the thing and running into everything because you just depth perception is off. One thing I will say is that of the Millennium Falcon, they made a version. The Millennium Falcon, for anybody that doesn't know, is a classification. It's a YT 1300. That's the designation of the ship. There is a ship made by the same company. It's a different model. It's called the YT 2000, and it has the cockpit in the center of the ship instead of out on the outrigger cockpit. It's in the middle, kind of where the mandibles extend to like grab onto stuff. And it's called the Otana. One of the versions is called the Otana, and that's one of my dad's favorite designs because it makes sense. So
right.
I think that one I would probably fly, but I like the Slave One because it's also smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Slave One is smaller, and you can live on it. You know, it's got crew quarters and whatever. It's not super, big, but it gets the job done. And I mean, it's cool. It makes cool sounds, and got a lot of weapons and stuff. So I think I would choose the Slave One. How about you?
Yeah, I think I would agree.
I think living aboard the Falcon would be better, though.
Well, the Falcon is better suited for people living on the ship. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, the Falcon is the fastest ship. Like, it made the Kessel Run in 13 parsecs.
12.
12 parsecs. So much how I know Star Wars lore. But all that to say is, so it's a fast ship. I'm not discounting that, but yes, I agree with Jonah. When 98% of your ship is on the other half, like, I know me personally, I would be like flying the ship, and then all of a sudden be like, oh, I gotta turn right, and then, there goes half my ship because I didn't turn right hard enough.
To be fair, I mean, when you're learning how to drive, it is really interesting to me that people didn't make cars with the steering wheel in the center, and have because I think an ideal vehicle would be wide enough to have the driver in the middle and then a passenger on both sides. You know what I mean? And go that way. I'm sure there's reasons why they did it the way that they did, but
right.
I don't know. I thought that was always an interesting thing. Like, why not have the driver sit in the middle?
Right.
But okay, so that's good. That's good. Let's see. All of my would you rather ones are like, what's your favorite? That's kind of what I'm shifting to.
Sure, you can throw that in there.
That's fine. What is your favorite force power?
Oh.
This one's kind of an interesting one. There's a lot of different force powers out there. I
have a huge like a fondness of the battle meditation.
That's a good call. That's a good one.
So we see one instance of it in a video game, and we read about another instance. So battle meditation, you guys probably are more aware of, is from the game Knights of the Republic. Bastila Shan is like a master of battle meditation, and so how you influence the tide of war based on like being well versed in like knowing battle tactics, but also being like, for Jedi they booster and like bolster their resolve.
They kind of like boost emotions, right?
Yeah, but like
what it is.
It's kind of more or less like, obviously you're going to be more prone to like fight for the cause and do your best when your morale is high. And so like the Jedi were like, the Jedi were proficient in that. Like, some Jedi were proficient in that. Bastila Shan was one. And for those Star Wars nerds out there, I'm probably butchering this. You get two instances of it in the Darth Bane trilogy books. So one is in the first book. So Lord Hoth is fighting up against in the fleet above Rushan. And he's got his own battle meditation. He's kind of like a jack of all trades, so his battle meditation isn't quite as strong as the Jedi that's fighting him on the other ship. And so he literally has to send Lord Kopez, I think is his name, to go over to the other ship and kill that Jedi, so he could turn the tides, and the Sith could essentially establish an armada over Roshan. The second one is in the second book, where Darth Bane and Zana are up against 6 Jedi, and Master Ruro, that's where I'm going to be like, correct me if I'm wrong, Master Ruro, I can't pronounce it, but he's an Ithorian, and he is master of healing and battle meditation. And so the duel is going on for an extremely long period of time. It's because Zana is basically holding off 2 Jedi on her own, while Darth Bane is holding off the other 3, but Bane is in his Orbalisk armor, so he's able to kind of shrug off everything except for, like, jabs towards his face, which they don't really get into until later. But the Jedi would have been defeated long before then had not Master Wurer, like, been keeping up his battle meditation and healing arts against Darth Bane and Zana. So, if you guys want to read more about them, they're both in the Darth Bane trilogy books. The 2 instances are in the Darth Bane trilogy, or you just play Knights of the Republic.
Yeah, there you go.
So, what about you?
I'm actually going to go with the controversial pick here. My favorite Force power is Force Lightning.
That was the second choice, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so traditionally, Force Lightning is a Sith power. It's not really a Jedi power. And let's be real, if you had the option, it's like, would you be a Jedi or a Sith? I 100% would be a Jedi. Like, there wouldn't be.
I could be a Sith.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. So that being said, I know, like, the Jedi Order frowns upon that kind of a thing, because Force Lightning usually comes from, it's kind of a Sith power. Like, the Jedi don't normally use Force Lightning, right? So, I don't know, I think it's just cool, you know? Like, they're like, oh yeah, the Jedi don't use their powers to, you know, attack or whatever. They only use it for defense. And I'm just like, I don't know. I've seen a shirt out there that's just like, if I was a Jedi, I would 100% use the Force inappropriately. And it's just like, I don't know. It's like, you have the powers. Why not try some things, you know? It's not like I would use Force Lightning on a person, you know? I just think it'd be cool to, like, shoot stuff, you know? And just be like, oh, clay pigeons, pull, Force Lightning. I don't know. I just think that'd be kind of neat. I also thought it would be cool if you used, and this is like, a lot of this has to do with concentration. A lot of the Force use is based on concentration. So that's why a lot of people are like, oh, well, the Jedi can levitate stuff. Why can't they just fly? It takes a lot of level of concentration for them to be able to levitate stuff. And so it's difficult to keep that going, you know? So that's why a lot of them don't fly. So with Force Lightning, I thought it'd be cool to take the lightning and, like, control it and make it kind of a plasma beam. So it's like, take an empty lightsaber hilt and, like, power it with your Force Lightning, basically. Right. I think that'd be cool. But that's a very hypothetical scenario, and it doesn't work that way and whatever, but I think that'd be kind of interesting.
Tutu Menace is also a backup one. So Tutu Menace is the ability to absorb, like, energy from your opponent. We see 2 examples of this. One is in the Star Wars The Old Republic trailer, on Alderaan, Queequeg, Satele Shan is facing against Malgus, and Malgus slices her lightsaber in half and then goes to stab her, and she uses the Force to kind of, like, absorb his lightsaber into her hands. But again, that requires concentration. So, like, if at that moment, if, like, a Sith warrior were to come up and distract her, like, she would have been impaled. Like, but we also see it. Example of it, I don't know, you know, but you can also absorb it and redirect it. So Master Yoda in Episode 2, when Dooku's shooting the lightning, and he's kind of absorbing it and then kind of shoots it back. He's also trying to do it in Episode 3, but in my opinion, Sidious is, like, bread and butter is his lightning. So, like, I think he's considerably stronger in using it over Dooku. And so I think like trying to redirect something that's somebody's bread and butter, whereas somebody may have just used it as more of a like, this is more of a convenience thing for me rather than like it's my bread and butter.
This is a back pocket ability, not a main weapon kind of thing.
Yeah.
No. Okay. On a similar note, then, this is kind of branching out from Star Wars, I guess.
Sure.
But if you were a superhero, what would your powers be?
See,
Like, what's your I guess favorite superpower?
So we talked a little bit about this in our Marvel's like superhero like rankings, I think.
Oh
Maybe
gosh, it's been years since we did that.
It's been many years, and I remember this. And like, so for you guys have been, you know, watchers of the show, you know, we've been out of practice for this for many years.
For a while, yeah.
We did do a list of like favorite lists of like superheroes, and so mine was Aquaman. I like his ability that like he can, you know, swim in the deepest parts of the ocean and like breathe underwater and swim really fast and stuff. Yes, it's kind of sucky that like you're stronger underwater than you do above air, but just like, you know, what you could do under the water and like what he does, like it does a really good portrayal in the first Aquaman movie. Like, oh, so good. But that would be my choice for a superpower, and that one that I always found pretty cool. So
that's cool. Mine is again kind of a not a random thing, I guess, but it has it's very specific, I guess. My superpower would be it's kind of hand in hand. What I would want is the ability to create and manipulate gravity.
Oh.
So by doing so, I say create because theoretically, if you get into like if you went into space or something, there's no gravity, right? So that would be the easiest way for a villain to defeat you is like, hey, let's just launch you into space. You're just stuck. There's no gravity. So if you created gravity, then you could, kind of bypass that. But the bigger thing is that there are several abilities that you kind of could do by having the ability to control gravity. So flight being one, where it's just like, oh yeah, you could control gravity to lift yourself off the ground and gravity to propel yourself forward. So if you manipulated gravity enough, you could basically make yourself fly.
Yeah.
Right? Another thing would be like super strength. Granted, your body's not stronger, so you would have to counterbalance the gravity in order to like lift heavy things or to make something else heavy or whatever. So there's a lot of like really fine case uses for the power, but I don't know, I think it'd just be kind of cool.
I mean, like, we do see, like, for superhero show movie watchers, that Avengers Assemble show, there is actually a guy, I think his name is Graviton, but yeah, has the ability to control, manipulate gravity, and they literally had to keep him, like, under heavy sedation, and in, like, the Marvel, like, big jail, which is, like, under the sea. Yeah. But if you guys want to see a prime example of what he's talking about, like, go check that out.
Yeah. The second, like a secondary one for me would be super speed.
Yeah.
I just feel like super speed is also one of those things that's like, if you move fast enough, you can fly, you can phase through things, you can hit super hard. Like, you look at the Flash, and it's like, that dude just has a myriad of abilities by, the whole time travel thing, I'm kind of like, okay, that's not really,
right.
But more practically, it's just like, oh yeah, you could do a whole mess of things, a whole slew of things.
And like, you have like two of your favorite super like heroes or people that you enjoy reading more about have to do with super speed. Right. Like Flash and Sonic are your two top speedsters. And so like that doesn't shock me that your favorite things are super speed. Yeah.
I also love to run, so I mean, like that kind of is a real life.
The only thing that would suck though is like, I mean, not for you because you like to eat, but just like the amount of calories.
The amount of calories you have to consume to live. Yeah, that would be rough. You would have to have a full-time job just to pay for your food, and even then, I don't even know if you could. So that would be unfortunate.
You wouldn't be late to work.
Yeah, that's true. You would never have an excuse to be late. But that's the other thing. The downside of that would be like you're always moving so fast that it's like everything around you would just seem super slow all the time. So that's why I think the gravity thing would be a little bit more practical, is that you can still kind of live a normal life and you don't have to use it. But the super speed's kind of like you can't turn it off, you know?
Well, mine also would be like super strength. Would be a secondary one.
Solid
because
choice.
like super strength, you can be like super strong and lift up, you know, a whole bunch of stuff. But then like being super strong means that you could run just a little bit faster. Not like a super speedster. Like, don't get me wrong, like, you're not going to be as fast as the Flash, but you're probably going to be a little bit faster than like
the average person.
The average person.
Yeah.
Like, you can jump a little bit farther than the average person. Like, it does, like, you know. So
just look at Mr. Incredible. You know, from The Incredibles, he can do all kinds of things.
Well, or even like the Hulk. Like a prime example of this is the 2002.
Edward Norton.
Nope.
Hulk?
No.
The Eric Bana one.
The Eric Bana Hulk, and where he's running across like the desert.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like you kind of see like how his super strength, that's the Hulk. Like he runs. I mean, he's a quick runner, but like obviously Flash would outspeed him.
Sure.
And he's jumping like really far, and you can watch as like as he's building up, he's jumping farther and farther. And so it's kind of like a cool thing. So
yeah, pretty great. Okay, let's do one more. Would you rather? I wish I would have prepared something more for these.
I mean, I've got like several in my back pocket.
Do you? Go ahead and pull one out then. We'll do one more.
One more. Would you rather play video games by yourself, or card games with other people?
Oh, okay. Video games by yourself or card games with other people?
Or like, the question could also be rephrased like, would you rather play card games or video games? Like,
okay.
Because like, there are some games out there that you like play by yourself, like video games that you play by yourself, and there are card games out there that you can play by yourself. But like, most of the time when you're playing card games, you're all playing with other people. So
how about a better one? Would you rather play video games with other people or card games with other people?
Okay, yeah. So we'll go with that route.
That's kind of difficult for me. I guess it kind of depends on the game.
Right.
So, like, obviously, we have played, like, classic Battlefront 2 or Return of the King, or we've played all kinds of video games together, and it's a blast.
Oh, yeah.
An absolute blast.
Oh, my goodness. We've had some fond memories, too, playing video games together.
Oh, yeah. But then on the flip side, it's like we've also played a lot of board games and card games together, too. So...
And those have also
been super fun. And, like, some of my fondest memories are, like, getting together and, like, playing Clank.
Yep.
Or, you know, Clank is a fantastic game. Or, like, any of the deck builders we've done. Or, you know, we're playing, like, this new Villainous game. We've been, you know, playing a lot of that. And so, man,
That's tough, because it's like... I mean, I'm not saying that you could go with one without the other, but it's like... It depends on, like... For me, I'd rather play card games with other people.
Yeah.
And here's my reasoning behind it. So, video games, you know, yes, there are video games I enjoy playing with my siblings.
Right.
So, like, Marvel Rivals has been a popular one among my siblings. I love playing with them.
Smash Bros.
Smash Bros is a blast to play with, like, Jonah, where we team up against the AI. Mario Kart's always a good time, especially doing a Grand Prix.
Yeah. Guitar Hero was always fun that way.
I was more of a Dance Dance Revolution type of dude, but
also
you know,
good.
like I'm not gonna like bash those.
Sure.
I like playing songs that like Rock Band, where you have one person on each different instrument.
Yep.
That was always really fun. But like, really, like I think it goes down to just like personal preference. Like a lot of times trying to hook up and be like. A lot of times it's a lot harder to hook up and play video games together, because it's like not everybody's going to have the same video game as you do. So when you're like, hey, I want to play like, you know, a prime example would be like the new Call of Duty game. It's like, I don't have that one. Oh, really? Well, I guess we're going to have to, you know, pivot and go to another game.
Or even like platforms. You know, like I'm much more of a PlayStation guy and you're much more of an Xbox guy. So it's like there's a lot of games that we can't play together because we don't have the same systems.
Right. So, but whereas like a card game or like board game, you bring that out and you're like, hey, this is meant to play for 3 to 4 players. Like, let's just grab a couple people and start playing. So like, like Clank, like, oh my goodness, you can play that. Like Clank and Villainous, you can easily play well into the wee hours of the morning, as we have done. And so I think for me, it's just because when you play a card game or a board game, when other people are saying yes, it's like you don't have to be like, you have to go out and get like several copies of the same board game.
Right. Yeah. I think I would agree. I love playing video games in general, but I think that here's my qualifier here. I think that if I'm looking at both of those categories singularly versus plurally, so like if I were to play video games by myself or play a card game by myself, I would probably enjoy playing a video game by myself more than a card game by myself.
Right.
But in a group of people, I do think that playing card games or board games is more enjoyable from what I've experienced probably than playing video games. The other thing too that's interesting and probably good to point out is that it's a lot easier to get a whole bunch of people to play a board game than it is for people to play a video game. Mostly just because like skill level and interest, like Clank is one of those games that you can just like anybody can hop in or learn. Or Mantis
is a fantastic game.
Super great.
Thank you, Becca, for introducing us to that game.
That's a great game. Yeah. So
and I also have to thank my brothers for Villainous.
Right. Yeah. I played Mantis at our like late Thanksgiving that we had, and it's a bunch of people who don't normally play games like that, and a bunch of people just like hopped in and we played a round of the game, and it was super fun, super great. And so that kind of a thing, board games are kind of tailored to all kinds of skill levels. And to be fair, there are video games that do that as well. But I think overall, it's probably a little easier for people to jump into board games than it could be for them to jump into video games.
Well, and then there's like also applies to games like Villainous, where like there are some villains that like are pretty easy that you could like. And when I say Villainous, I'm referring to the Marvel and the Star Wars edition. I haven't got all the Disney. Although that's going to be my next big things. But like each villain has their own objective that like some people may find are super easy to accomplish, while other people are like, dude, I don't understand how you pull that off. Like, and so I think for me personally, like Jonah said, board games are tailored to everybody of all skill levels, and so are video games. But like everybody can look at it, everybody can look at a board game like Mantis and be like, oh, this seems like a super easy game for me to play.
Yeah.
And jump right in. Like Mantis, I remember like playing, like looking at all these different colored cards and being like, I don't know if I can play this. But like by turn 3, I was like, oh, I know what to do.
Right.
So that's my opinion on card games.
Yeah. I think the big thing when it all comes down to it, the most fun is just like as much fun as we have doing stuff by ourselves. It's just like it's always so much fun playing with other people. Whether it's video games, whether it's card games or board games or whatever, the memories you make like doing stuff by yourself, it seems like the greater experiences usually are with other people.
Well, and like when you do a great accomplishment by yourself, it's kind of hard to be like, hey, Jonah, in this game, I did this really incredible thing. But if Jonah hasn't played the game,
or even if I have, it's just kind of like, that's cool.
Well, that's cool. But like when we play a card game together and he's at the table with me, and we're like, dude, that last turn of that particular game was really close. Like,
or where you get some inside jokes, or wherever. That's where that stuff. The memories are born, I think. And like I've had great experiences playing games by myself before, but there's just something about hanging out with your friends, spending good time with the people that you like. That's just super important. So, I think that's when it comes down to it. I think enjoying things with friends is always a good time. Well, I think that's a pretty good place to stop. That's we haven't done this in a long time, and we were out on the road trip, and we were just like, let's pop up a Rando Commando. Let's do these.
Because we're two commandos, and everything we do is completely rando.
Completely rando. Even deciding to do this. It's completely random. All right. Well, until the next video we post in a few months, a year, nobody knows. It'll be completely random. But until then, I'm Jonesy, and he is
Ethanuel.
and we will see you next time.
All right.